All right. We're going to continue with our media availabilities this afternoon, and we are going to now have Austin Dillon join us here in advance of tomorrow night's night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll take questions for Austin. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll get to as many questions as we can. And who would like to kick us off? All right, we're going to start with Bob.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. I'm curious, have you talked to Tyler Reddick at all since the announcement? And if so, how do you feel like he'll handle this, knowing that if he does come back to RCR, that his crew's going away amid trying to have a strong playoff run?
Well, Tyler's a beast, man. He puts in a ton of work during the week. I know he's super focused on this race, just like myself. He does a really good job of tuning stuff out and just going to work. I mean, you can't deny Tyler Reddick's speed each and every weekend this year, and I'm sure he's going to be fast today, and he'll be just fine. And yeah, I have talked to him. We were at the catwalk for a cause together, so we had a little fun there, and it was for a great cause with Sherry Polek. So, but now it's time to qualify and practice, and for us and the 3 team, we got to gain as many points as possible this weekend to put ourselves in a good position at the end of this race. So today is very important when it comes to qualifying.
All right. Additional questions for Austin? Okay. We'll go to Stephen and then Mark.
Stephen Toronto, CBS Sports. Austin, your grandfather on Tuesday said that you were the one that suggested that you guys hire Kyle Busch. What exactly did that conversation entail? And then in terms of going on and hiring Busch, was that an easy evaluation in terms of driver skill?
Yeah, we just, after the Tyler announcement, it was about, what's the future of the RCR look and where do we go from here? And, in my mind, there was one guy in free agency that was, anybody would love to have him, and it comes to a driver standpoint and something he can bring and elevate your competition side right off the bat. And he moves the needle when it comes to marketing. He really does. He's got a huge fan base. So for me, it was just talking to my grandfather and say, hey, what do you think about Kyle? And he came back with, you think he'd want to drive for us? And I'm like, well, why not? We got fast cars and, good equipment. And truthfully, when it comes to Kyle, he just wants to go fast and win races. And it's the same thing that my grandfather wants. So he said, all right, let me think about it. About 30 minutes later, he texted me or called me and said, hey, why don't you just reach out to him, see what he'd say? I said, okay. So I texted Kyle and then gave him a call, and we talked, and it was like same kind of conversation with Kyle. You think he wants me to drive for him? Like, yeah, that's why I'm calling you. It's a great opportunity for both of them, and for me especially, as a teammate, I get to learn a lot from him, and the people in our shop are really excited to have a guy with his kind of experience, a 2-time champion, over 200 wins. It's awesome. I think it's great for RCR, and that in the end, that's what makes me happy. We want to make the Welcome North Carolina race team compete at the top each and every weekend and be looked at as a competitor. And we're on an upward trajectory, so we got to keep that going.
And the interesting thing for you is that you're a Cup veteran now. You've been in the Cup Series for years, and also RCR is basically the family business for you. Have you reached a point now where you're almost expected to kind of have major input into decisions like this, or do things like this that can help move RCR forward?
Yeah, I mean, I was born across those railroad tracks, so I feel like that's all I ever know. And to me, everybody that works at RCR, all the faces that I see on a daily, weekly basis, those decisions that my grandfather have made for so many years, I've seen him have sleepless nights because of he wants his people and his company to survive and do well. So for me, it's the same thing. I just want the people that we have at RCR happy and to have jobs for a really long time. And when it comes to helping him make good decisions for the future, I think he takes into my opinion now, and that's cool. And I think I've kind of deserved that too from a competition standpoint, just being in this garage for a long time and seeing a lot how things work.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to Mark and then Claire and Jordan. Go ahead, Mark.
Austin, this is your 5th appearance in the playoff. Anything different about this, or is it always the same?
For me, it's the biggest thing is the first two races were races that we could have really capitalized on, and we hadn't had the pace that we've needed to do that, but we've survived. So for this race today, I'm really hoping that, we unload right here in practice and have a strong car. I think we've done a good job of, finishing the first two races, but we got to get some stage points, and we got to put ourselves in a little better position come Sunday. We've been in the survive and advance point, but this is the advance point. We've got to step it up another notch than what we have these first two races. I think we're capable of that. I love that this is a long race, and a lot of things can happen during that time frame, but it sure be nice to qualify up front, run up front, and put the pressure on the guys that are around us.
I want to ask a question about Texas next week. Although the next-gen car hasn't been there, what kind of race do you think you've seen so far this year on the mile and a half, and how that may translate to Texas?
Well, the All-Star race, was there earlier this season, so surprisingly a pretty decent race. Texas has struggled a little bit from my standpoint since we've paved it, but it seems like it's getting a little better and getting a little racier. I saw some good racing. I was watching that one. I think every race we go to this next-gen car, anything can happen. And obviously you can see we have 18 winners this year, special, so you might see another new winner.
All right, Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. This is going to be such a different race here because of the new car, etc. We look at your stats, and you have one top five here. Do you believe, and obviously you're back 3 points from the round of 12 cutoff line, so you want to make up points, etc. Do you believe it's such a different race that it'll shake up, and the people that we think, haven't been good here can make up ground just because no one knows about this car here?
Bristol's a place where, if your car does certain things well, you can definitely make up ground and be a hero. I mean, it rewards you for being able to drive hard for a long period of time. If your car's bouncing all over the place, struggling, it's a tough night, and you just kind of have to survive. But, I'm confident in the work we put in during the week that we can have a fast car this weekend. And when we get it right, I've been good here before. So pretty confident when it comes to that.
And given you have some practice in qualifying, obviously, what do you expect on Sunday that the race will be like? Is it going to be chaos and crazy and spinning out, given that we have the new car, or will you guys figure it out by then?
I really don't know. I mean, this practice coming up here in next 30 minutes or so will give us a telltale sign about what we're going to have. I didn't get to do the test. So, speaking to some of the guys about the test, the track's pretty rough from, the removal of the dirt. It's a little different. So, in the simulator, it's not that bad. Will be interesting to see, what the difference is when we get out there and really move around.
All right, we'll go to Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. What leadership lessons have you learned on the management side this year, whether it's on the RCR side or you've got the PBR thing, that you can kind of take away that as you go forward and kind of assume this bigger role?
Yeah, I think the PBR stuff has been good for me to, working with people from different backgrounds and putting contracts in front of some of the riders and, building a team. I think building a team is a big part of that. We just took over the #1 seed in the PBR last weekend at our home event, which was pretty cool. And, it's definitely been helpful. And I think that's what my grandfather wanted, from this for me is to, see how things work and working with people and try and build a team and see what I can do. And I think we've done a pretty good job so far. We've got to keep it going.
Different sports.
Yeah.
Is there a crossover in terms
Yes.
of what you can carry over from one to the other in terms of relationships, building teams, that kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the adrenaline junkie side of the athlete from both sides is very similar. Team aspect, that you can relate it to pit crews and keeping the pit crews together. I think that's another part of that. Don't know if we announced this, but we signed our pit crew, the 3-team, to a 5-year deal. All of our guys, so they're signed up for us for the next 5, and it's pretty cool. They've been one of the best performing pit crews on pit road. So,
was that something that you had a voice in saying, and like you kind of directed that these guys are deserving of the contract, or?
I think I'll give the credit to our pit coach for being forward thinking on the youth that we have on that team, and then kind of helping with Andy Petrie and myself, getting it to the boss man. And for him, that's kind of a new way of thinking, and he was receptive to that, and I think that's important. It's a culture builder, and that's what we want to do at RCR is build the culture up.
All right, our next question will go to Lee, and then Nate, do you have a question? I'll go back to Nate.
Austin, when did you get so interested in the marketing side of the business?
I think I've always been kind of interested in it from following my grandfather. He's the ultimate salesman at RCR. I think that, one reason we've been able to survive for so long is because he is, when it comes to RCR, you think of Richard Childress and not always the driver sometimes. So, he's been able to put that hat on for a very long time, and just watching him work over the years and his relationships that he's created. He's the type of person when someone partners with us, they're part of the family. Johnny Morris, we go on hunting trips together all the time, and we build that, love for our sponsors. So it's pretty cool. I think that's always been ingrained in me from like a family aspect. But schooling, different stuff in my high school to the couple years I was in college there, where sports marketing was what I wanted to be, part of. So I get excited when we sign a sponsor, as excited as anybody, because it's pretty cool. Myself and Austin Craven with TDM, when I remember the first time we signed a sunglass sponsor, and we were like, the adrenaline was flowing when the company said yes. So it was pretty cool. So I take pride in that.
And you talk about RCR surviving. How do you go from survival mode to thriving mode?
I think, just keep on the same direction we're going right now. It's pretty cool. Putting good people at the shop with good drivers, and just building it a fun environment to work in. And, people want to be around that. And it's showing up. And, this is big for us this year, getting both cars in the playoffs. And tomorrow night's going to be big to advance both cars. So we're working hard on that.
All right, Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Austin, following up on what you mentioned culture, and you talked about how it's synonymous with RC. And I think I heard you say Tuesday that you told Kyle that there's going to be no other team that's going to fight for you like this one. We've been through the downtimes. We always find a way to scratch and claw and fight our way out of it. Can you kind of expand on that culture and that sort of philosophy? Does that just start with Richard Childress, or is it because he knows how to hire the right people to sort of put around that idea?
Yeah, I think, I think it's a little bit of the short track mentality. Also, if, you bring your friends to the track, and welcome, we're away from everyone in Mooresville in a bit, So, that makes us different, because there's mostly a drive from people that are coming to Mooresville or they live around there. So we're kind of our own team, and I like it down there. I feel like I'm in a different state, truthfully, than everybody else in Mooresville. So I like it that way, and I think that Kyle will too. He's that type of guy that is just a fiery competitor, and I think that gets along with what RC's built.
And as far as the point spread for tomorrow night, obviously this is the first time NASCAR has had a situation where they enter the first round cutoff without having a driver locked in on wins. Bella's locked in, but on points. How do you think that'll affect the way guys approach this race, the way they might race, given that this is a short track where people say, oh, this is where the paybacks happen? With so many guys on different agendas, will that affect it a little bit in terms of the points?
I think this race is going to be very effective in terms of points, because, it's just a rough grind of a track and race, and you just don't know the performance of the tire per se either. There's a lot of things that can happen here in a very short period of time. So to me, first things first is qualify up front, try and get stage points, try and win the race, but don't take yourself out of the race. A lot of things are going to happen, like I just said. And I feel like the guys that keep themselves in the fight, it's very easy with this car to take yourself out of the race, because you're on edge very, very often, and it's easy to get a little too much and put yourself in a bad situation. So the moment you take yourself out of the fight, you're probably out when it comes to points.
All right, Austin, really fast before we let you go and bring Joey up. Tomorrow, the Nolensville Little League baseball team will be here, have the opportunity to experience kind of a NASCAR race here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Obviously, you went to the Little League World Series many, many years ago. What will it mean to you to have them here tomorrow night?
Yeah, that's very cool. I played for the Southeast region. I think we beat Tennessee in our Southeast regional, so I'll have that on I'm guessing they're from Tennessee, right?
They are.
All right, so they beat North Carolina, so they got that on me. But no, I'm pumped. That's cool. I get to meet them. I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the League World Series. I watch it every year, and I haven't grown much since then, so I can probably relate with those guys.
All right. Hopefully they might be a good luck
just
charm
got a
for you
beard.
tomorrow.
Thanks.